Hello guys, it's me Butterfly Spirit 314. So guys, I made a video where I talked about my experience of stepping on a nail in my backyard. And if you guys want to know all about that experience, you can check out the video on my YouTube channel where I think the video is called Stepped on a Nail in My Backyard, My Experience. You can definitely check that out if you want to know like my experience from stepping on the nail all the way up to me going to the hospital today. So you can watch that video if you want to. And I think it's okay if you guys have the time, which is fine. But I want to make a very brief video here for people who ask the question of what to do, like, what do I do if I stepped on a nail? Okay. So the first thing is this. So the first thing I want to say is this. When I stepped on a nail in my backyard while I was doing yard work, the first thing is that you'll know you stepped on a nail because you'll feel some sharp pain at the bottom of your foot and it will come out of nowhere. Okay, that's the first thing. And you'll know something punctured your foot. Okay. Now, the thing is, if you were like me and you were wearing, socks and shoes and stuff, and when you stepped on the nail or the screw, I stepped on the screw. Um, then if you happen to be wearing a shoe when you step on a nail or you step on a screw, the thing that you may not realize is that just because you're wearing a shoe does not mean that that's going to protect your feet. Okay. Because for me, I was wearing tennis shoes and I was wearing socks, and I thought that was going to be sufficient enough protection, but a screw did puncture my foot. Okay. And the reason I wanted to talk about what it feels like is so you guys know. And it's kind of like I've never had this happen before, and I hope this never happens, but it's like if you have stepped on glass or something like that, or if you've ever been cut by glass for some reason, like and stuff. But yeah, it's definitely like that. Another thing I can relate it to is like I remember once I got bit by I think it was like a hamster and stuff. It's like getting bit by a hamster where they have like the sharp teeth or something. It's like that, except the bite on your foot. Okay. It's like, well, sharp pain on your foot as opposed to a bite on your, finger or something like a hamster biting you. So anyway, you're going to feel some sharp pain that's going to, it'll be quick, but because you'll pull your foot back immediately. Now, the thing is if you do step on a nail, it's not going to be obvious right away that you stepped on a nail. So the first thing you want to do is you want to take your shoe off because if you look at the bottom of your shoe like I did, you're not going to see any blood coming from your shoe. Okay, you're not going to see it on the bottom of your shoe. So you have to take your shoe off. That's the first thing. Take off your shoe. Second thing you want to do, take off your sock. Okay. Now, there are some people who walk around barefoot. They do earthing, okay, which is where people walk around barefoot to connect with the energy and stuff. If you step on a nail and you're barefoot, um, well, I would be very careful where I would be walking around barefoot and stuff because you never know. I mean, unless you're in an area where there's like nothing, like no nails or anything around, but if you're in a backyard, it's possible that you could step on a nail by accident. I stepped on a nail by accident. Okay. So, like I said, you want to take off your shoe, you want to take off your sock because if you look at the bottom of your shoe, you're not going to see any blood. Like me, I didn't see any blood. Okay. When I took off my sock, I looked at the bottom of my foot with my sock on. I didn't see any blood. I did not see any blood on my foot until I took my sock off. Then I saw two streams of blood coming from my foot. Okay. So that's when you'll start to see blood, is when you finally see your actual foot in the bottom of your foot. There's going to be blood. It's going to be running down your foot or oozing down your foot. Okay. This is not the time. I wouldn't say this is the time for you to freak out or anything. What you want to do is if you see that, your foot has been stabbed or whatever, or punctured by a nail or a screw that was sticking out of a piece of wood, like what happened to me, I stepped on a screw while my foot was in, socks and shoes. Okay. Um, Once you get your, and it probably wasn't the best idea for me to do this outside, but I immediately took my, shoe off and sock off. Okay. Now, what you want to do is once you see that there is blood coming from your foot and it's coming from a puncture wound, you want to go in and immediately clean it. So you want to get inside your house. Okay. You want to do that because you want to make sure you start to clean that area. Now, some people might say that you might hold off on cleaning it. I would suggest going ahead and cleaning it because you want to make sure that you clean your foot. Now, for me, I had to hop into my house. So I had one shoe on, one shoe barefoot. Okay. But you want to make sure you clean it. Okay. Now, one thing I did not do, which would probably have been a good idea, would have been for me to go to the hospital. But I didn't go to the hospital that day because I thought as long as I cleaned my foot, I'm good. And I, make sure that I clean it with alcohol and peroxide and clean the side of where I was punctured, I'd be good. No, just because you clean it doesn't mean you're good, because you stepped on a nail or you stepped on a screw, and that screw or that nail was sticking up and it's outside, and there could be bacteria on there and you can't see the bacteria. That's what somebody explained to me. So I was like, oh, okay. So if you do go to the hospital that day, what they're going to do, and I just came from the hospital today, so I stepped on the screw in my backyard. I was doing yard work. That was on Sunday. And so what you want to do, don't be like me and just think I'm fine. Okay, don't assume you're fine. Go to the hospital the day you step on the screw or the day you step on the nail. The reason is because the sooner they can start looking at it, the better. I waited a couple of days. Okay. But what you want to do is go to the hospital. Okay. So they can take a fresh look at it. Even if you cleaned it up, you want to go to the hospital and you want to let them look at it. Now you might say, well, what are they going to do at the hospital? I just left the hospital. I was there for 4 hours. So this is what they could do. They may do the same thing they did with me. So one thing they're going to do is they're probably going to get a urine sample from you like they do at any hospital. Okay. Expect to be at the hospital 4 hours. Just come, just what they do. They keep you there for a long time. Another thing, so plan that it's going to take 4 hours. Now, I held off today on going to the hospital until after work. If you don't feel comfortable being like if you decide to go to work and you stepped on a nail and you feel uncomfortable about leaving work, you can still wait until after work to go to the hospital. But if you wait until afternoon to go to the hospital, there's going to be a lot of people there when you get off work. And that's what I found. So it tends to be better to go to the hospital in the morning, because if you go in the morning, they can get to you a lot faster and they get you in and out of there. I mean, instead of being there 4 hours, you might be there like 2, maybe if you're lucky, depending on the hospital. Or you could always go to your doctor's office and you could have your doctor to check it out if you have like a primary doctor or something like that. Stepping on a nail is not something to play around with. It is not. It's not something to goof around with or anything like that, because you could end up getting tetanus, which could be a bad idea because it's pretty serious. You could end up getting lockjaw. You could end up getting seizures. Some people could die from tetanus. It could shut down your nervous system, seizures, all kinds of serious shit. Okay. You don't want to let that happen to you. So, and everybody I talked to when I was at work today, they were like, you stepped on a nail, you need to go and you need to get a tetanus shot. And I listened. Okay. Now I was terrified as hell about getting a tetanus shot, but I decided to go and do it. okay, and go to the hospital. But I waited until after work. But if you don't feel comfortable after stepping on a nail or a screw outside, if you don't feel comfortable, go immediately to your doctor's office, or go to the emergency room in the hospital, go, if it's getting to you, go, your anxiety is building up, go. Okay. So they're going to take a urine sample from you. We talked about that. What they told me they were going to have to do was that they were going to have to take an x-ray. So that's one thing they were going to do. Another thing that they were going to have to do, of course, they're going to have to check the urine sample. And then the last thing would be the tetanus shot. Now, you would think because there was 3 things they were going to be doing, I'd be in and out of there like this. Like it'd be 30 minutes, I'd be out. That's what I thought. But I was there for 4 hours. I got there at like 5:30. I didn't leave until like 9. Okay. A little after 9 anyway. So, yeah. So, those are some of the things that you can expect to happen. If you go to the emergency room in the afternoon, expect you're going to have to wait. And it's not an in and out process. And the earlier you go to the hospital, the earlier you can get it over with and get out of there. Also, I was prescribed antibiotics, so I have to go pick them up tomorrow. Because, like I said, today I went to the hospital to deal with it, with my foot. But yeah, they're going to prescribe you antibiotics. Now, when they did my x-ray, one thing they were looking for was to make sure that the screw didn't puncture any of the bones in my foot, because the bones in your foot are very close to your skin. So luckily, this screw did not impact my bones or anything. So they're going to be looking for that with the x-ray. Another thing they're going to be looking for to see if the infection has spread in your foot. So they're looking for that. They're looking for there's swelling or whatever and stuff. For me, they noticed that, my foot was fine. There was no, I didn't break any bones or anything in my foot. So I was good. Because if a nail could end up breaking, you stick your nail, if you stick your foot with a nail, then you could break your foot or whatever. So they're looking for that. And they're doing an x-ray because they want to make sure that a part of the nail didn't break off in your foot, because there's a likelihood that rust or debris could be from the nail or screw could be in your foot. So that's why for me, they did an x-ray just to make sure there was nothing left in there. And luckily, I looked at the screw that was in my backyard and I noticed that it was fully intact. So none of it had ended up being on my foot. None of it had broken in my foot, which was good. Okay. So I got pretty lucky that I at least got the tetanus shot and stuff. You guys may ask, there are a lot of people who are going to say a tetanus shot hurts. There's some people who are going to say it doesn't hurt. Okay. In terms of what the tetanus shot is going to feel like for you, it could be different. Now, I'm not pain tolerant. I don't like pain at all. But I found the tetanus shot to be pretty quick. The thing is if you tense up, it's going to hurt. If you don't tense up, you're not going to hurt. And the nurse that did the tetanus shot, she did it so quickly. And she said, look away. She's like, I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to do. I'm just going to do it. And I think that helped because I didn't know she was doing it. And so that allowed the shot to go over a bit easier. But I have heard on the internet and from people that if the needle is really big that they use for the tetanus shot, then it could hurt more. Okay. So you want to bear that in mind. Now, if you're somebody, like I said, if you're somebody and you step on a nail on the weekend, right? And let's say this happens to you on a Sunday, and for whatever reason, it's a Sunday, and you got to go to work on Monday, I would probably tell you might want to, if you can't get to the hospital on a Sunday, definitely go on a Monday. The sooner you go to the hospital, the better. The earlier in the day you go, the better, so you can get out of there. Because who wants to be sitting there for 4 hours? Okay, who wants to? Nobody. But by and large, I think what's going to take the most time is if there's a lot of people in the ER. If there's very few people, it could take, like, if it's only like you and like a couple other people, like a couple of people at the ER, it might take like maybe 2 hours. But if it's more than two people, like if it's more, like if it's like 10 people in the ER, expect you're going to be there for like 4 hours and stuff or whatever, especially if it's late at night and it's evening. Expect to be at the hospital for 4 hours. Even though you think you're just getting a quick tetanus shot, there is more involved than that. I got really lucky with, the nail that I stepped on. I got really lucky. Now I have the shot. It does feel, and I can show it to you. So I did get the tetanus shot. It's not right here. It's like the shot was down here, but the nurse put it up here because she didn't see, because the needle was so small that she gave me a tetanus shot with it. It's like down here because there was like a little blood that came from out of my arm and stuff. So I did get pretty lucky that I didn't have anything serious going on. However, right now, you guys may be like, well, how are you feeling? Well, my arm feels a little sore, but I heard that it's going to be way more sore tomorrow. I'm just like, now there are side effects to getting a tetanus shot that could happen. There could be things like you could get a headache, or you could end up getting a fever, chills, or whatever, and those things could happen. On the paperwork I have, it says if I have like a fever to like go back if I end up getting like a fever or getting sick or something. But by and large, right now I'm doing good and I'm okay right now. I have to wait till tomorrow to see how I feel, because tomorrow I probably will be very happy. But I'm doing good right now. But I just wanted to make this video just to kind of give you guys some answers to some questions you might have about what to do if you step on a nail. From my experience, this is a more briefer version than the other version where I talked about my experience of stepping on a nail from start to finish. So yeah, so I hope this video really helps you guys out there. Because if you go on YouTube and type in stepped on a nail, what do I do, or what to do if I step on a nail, there you're gonna get some pretty brief like doctor videos and stuff, but nobody's going to tell you like what you should do from like the point that you step on the nail. Like they're not going to tell you as much detail as like I've been telling you tonight. So anyway, thank y'all for watching. I am tired right now. Oh, also guys, if you do step on the nail or you step on the screw like I did, they are going to prescribe you some antibiotics, because they're going to try to they're giving you those in order to make sure that to protect you against the bacteria that came from the bottom of your shoe and your sock and stuff that went up into your foot from a nail or a screw getting into your foot. So they will prescribe you antibiotics. Okay. All right. Thank you all for watching. Bye.